When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, Allbirds or Skims, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for the shoppers buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay, that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/audioboom. All lowercase. Go to shopify.com/audioboom to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/audioboom.
Leading Britain's conversation, LBC, with Natasha Devon.
6:48. I just took a look at my Blue Sky feed in the break there, and there's quite a few people getting in touch to ponder how Zelensky will be received if there is a meeting, another meeting between Zelensky and Trump, whether he will have the red carpet rolled out for him in the way that Putin had it, whether respect will be shown, unlike in that disastrous altercation in the Oval Office, which has now become notorious. And it made me think of, I was reading earlier a piece by Dominic Nichols in The Telegraph, where he says Putin got exactly what he wanted from Trump. And what Dominic Nichols argues is that this meeting yesterday essentially took the relationship between the US and Russia back to a year ago. So there was a period of time where it seemed like Trump was starting to change his tune, frankly, wasn't repeating Kremlin talking points, was conceding that Russia illegally invaded Ukraine and that Ukraine didn't start the war. And that appears to have unraveled. And now Putin appears to be back in Trump's heart again. Certainly the optics suggest that. So it will be interesting to see when there is another meeting, if there isn't another meeting between Trump and Zelensky, how Zelensky is treated. And speaking of Trump and what goes on in what passes for his brain, we're joined now by Simon Marks, who's LBC's Washington correspondent. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Simon. How do you think Trump thinks the meeting yesterday went?
Well, I think that Donald Trump is, of course, completely incapable of acknowledging failure ever. But there is no question that by the time that summit meeting ended yesterday, he looked crushed. He even went on Fox News last night for a prearranged interview with Sean Hannity, one of his biggest boosters in the media here, that was conducted after the summit had ended. And on air, he told Sean Hannity that he regretted having accepted the invitation to give the interview, which he'd done a couple of days earlier. And I mean, this is an interview with one of the most sympathetic purveyors of softball questions in the president's direction that you could possibly light upon. So I think that gives you a sense of where his head was last night. He was not expecting to be hit by Vladimir Putin as hard as he was. Now, I think they were naive not to have expected it. The idea that Donald Trump could spend the entire week talking publicly non-stop about his aims, his ambitions, his strategies for the meeting, rather than actually sitting behind closed doors with his senior advisors, poring over briefing books, doing the actual hard work that these things entail, and lighting upon a strategy, even to the point, Natasha, of the decision for Donald Trump to leave Washington at dawn yesterday, fly 6+ hours to Anchorage, then sit on the Air Force One for 20 minutes waiting for Vladimir Putin's plane to arrive before they both deplaned and walked down the red carpet. That's an extraordinary decision, because Trump could have gone there on Thursday morning. He could have eased himself into a different time zone. He didn't have to go into the meeting as jet-lagged and out of it as Putin must have been after flying from Russia. Every bit of the planning in this demonstrates negligence on the part of this White House. Now, today, I think you can begin to see shifting sands on the part of Donald Trump. He's off playing golf at the moment in Virginia, but he's been active on social media. As you know, he says Volodymyr Zelensky is coming here to meet him on Monday, and that Donald Trump has decided there's no point any longer in going for any kind of short-term ceasefire because, as he suddenly says today on social media, because often they don't hold up. This is the same Donald Trump who for the last week said that if he didn't get a ceasefire promise out of Vladimir Putin, he would be very disappointed and very severe consequences would follow for Russia. Well, all of that talk has evaporated. Now suddenly he's only interested in securing a long-term peace agreement, and it will not surprise me at all if by the time Zelensky rolls up the White House driveway on Monday, Vladimir Putin's gambit, which was to try and persuade Trump to get behind a Russian proposal to freeze their front lines in Ukraine, if Zelensky would hand over basically the whole of eastern Ukraine, Donetsk and Luhansk, both of those regions in the east, the entire Donbass. I suspect by Monday it's perfectly possible that Donald Trump is actually saying he thinks that's a good idea.
Has Donald Trump then, by not planning properly that meeting, not doing the donkey work, actually painted himself into a corner where now he, in order to save face, he has to dance to Putin's tune? Is that what we're saying?
Look, I'm not saying that with vast amounts of planning, the outcome of this summit could have been any different. I think with vast amounts of planning, you might have thought twice about whether it was a smart idea to go ahead with this summit, certainly on American soil at a US air base in Alaska. But there is certainly it might have helped. It might have helped prepare all of those people participating in the meeting on the American side. But the people participating in the meeting on the American side include people who are woefully out of their depth. The US Special Envoy, Steve Witkoff, who has made several journeys to Moscow to meet Vladimir Putin, doesn't speak Russian, has no experience whatsoever in the region that is basically at the centre of this war, particularly the east of Ukraine. There is no evidence to support the view that the White House insists is true, that Witkoff understood all of the proposals territorially that Putin was making just 10 days ago when they met at the Kremlin. There are all sorts of reports to suggest that Witkoff got very confused about the different territorial regions, the oblasts that he was looking at in Ukraine, and is simply inarticulate in the detail. And it's all about the detail. Donald Trump thinks you can just snap your fingers and there'll be a truce, and then you'll have everybody in a room together and they'll agree a peace agreement and everything will be happy and the war will be over, and then he can start investing American money in the Russian economy. This is not going to be like that. Any peace agreement is going to take months, if not years, to negotiate, and that's if both of the warring parties actually want to achieve peace. There's no evidence that Vladimir Putin wants to wrap this war up at all.
Simon Marks, thank you so much, LBC's Washington correspondent. Lots of love coming in for you, actually, Simon, in the way that you summarise things so clearly. So thank you for your time this evening.
Running a business means checking a lot of boxes.
Let's see. Payroll? Check. Inventory? Check. Insurance?
Good thing Simply Business makes getting small business insurance fast and easy. Check insurance off your list at simplybusiness.com. When you run a business, there are a lot of boxes to check.
Let's see. Payroll? Check. Inventory? Check. Insurance?
Well, good thing Simply Business makes getting small business insurance fast and easy. Just answer a few questions, review your quotes, and get covered in under 10 minutes, all online. It's that simple. Check insurance off your list at simplybusiness.com.